take a look inside. Oh Christ, it's not a corpse. Not anymore. Yeah, my channel's called D&D GX. Technically, that stands for Dungeons and Dragons, with Grok as the game master. But it can mean a lot more than that. Just like people sometimes say Nintendo to mean video games in general, D&D kind of works the same way for tabletop RPGs. And the X, it just means whatever game I end up playing with Grok. This whole thing actually started when I got stranded out in the country for a few days with no car. Out of boredom, I asked Grok if it could run a D&D game. I'll tell that story another time. But I enjoyed it so much I kept playing, and eventually decided to try Call of Cthulhu. Now, I'm not really a D&D guy, I just figured it might work well with an AI game master, and honestly, I never even heard of anyone doing that before. But it worked way better than I expected, so I decided to start sharing the sessions. I'd actually never played D&D or Call of Cthulhu before. The only tabletop RPGs I'd ever tried were some superhero game one time with a few friends, and another time with All Flesh Must Be Eaten. Both of those were over 16 years ago when I was really into HeroClix. So this time I basically jumped in blind. Grok handled all the mechanics and dice rolls with full transparency, while I just described what my character wanted to do. So, with that said, let's get into it. This is my first ever Call of Cthulhu session, and my first Call of Cthulhu session with an AI keeper. When I let Grok know I wanted to play, it gave me the basics of Call of Cthulhu, and some options for the scenario.
I'll be your keeper, running a text-based game of cosmic horror, sanity-shredding nightmares, and 1920s pulp mystery. We'll play in the classic 7th edition rules, simplified for smooth chat flow. I'll handle all narration, NPCs, monsters, and fair D100 rules, using my code tools behind the scenes. No fudging, pure chaos as the old ones intended. A quick heads up before we begin. Call of Cthulhu is deadly and sanity-breaking. Investigators die or go mad. A lot. That's the fun. We'll do everything here in chat. You describe what your character does or says. I resolve it and describe the results. Short sessions or one-shots work best. Tell me if you want to continue across multiple messages. I can pause any time for questions or rules clarifications.
So I chose a quick start campaign with a pre-made character among a few options. The scenario was The Haunting, the legendary 1920s Boston haunted house nightmare that's terrified players for over 40 years. In it, one evening, one house, maximum cosmic dread. The investigation of 124th North Main Street on behalf of a desperate real estate agent. Expect creaking floors, locked attics, and things that should not be. My character, Tommy Malone, private investigator. He's 36, a grizzled ex-cop turned Boston PI. Tough, cynical, carries a .38 and a flask. Someone in real estate hired Tommy to quietly check out a problem property. His strengths are brawling, spotting clues, driving, psychology, and his handgun. Tommy left the force 3 years ago after a corruption scandal nearly got him killed. Now he takes the dirty jobs, missing spouses, blackmail, the occasional haunted house scam. He's seen enough human monsters in Boston alleys to figure that ghosts are just bad wiring and cheaper whiskey. This job sounds like easy money until the landlord started talking. So we're going to join Tommy in the haunting in Boston of October 1924. It started with a meeting in a cafe with the landlord, Mr. Knox. He paid me $20 up front to investigate his property, 124 North Main Street, so he can rent it again. Do report and clear its name or clear whatever's in there. $20 a day, plus a bonus to clear it. Turns out the latest tenants, the Macario family, just recently up and left after just 6 months there, in the middle of the night. Neighbors heard screaming about eyes in the walls and voices calling names from the dark. The father, Vittorio, grabbed the kitchen knife and went after his wife, Gabriella. Cops hauled him off the Roxbury Sanitarium in restraints. Gabriella was committed herself just 2 days later. Same delusions, completely broken. The kids are staying with relatives in East Boston. The file he gives me don't say much, but I can tell from experience he's hiding something. He's shaking. He says he just wants the place rentable again. I don't know much about this paranormal stuff, but I press him for more. What's got him spooked? Turns out he heard scratching when he went there to do some repairs, like nails on wood, from inside the walls, and a voice like a whisper through a keyhole. It said his full name. He dropped his tools and ran like hell. He hasn't been back since. Silently, he slides another 10 across the table. He's eager to have this off his hands and be done with it. Tells me to call him when I'm done and leaves the cafe abruptly into the rain. I decide to dig for some dirt from my contacts still in the force. I take a cab to the old precinct house in South Boston, my old stomping grounds. The desk sergeant, O'Malley, still owes me for that time I covered his tab after his wife kicked him out. I slip him a $5 and he gives me some files from the records room. The incident report on the Macarios and older files on the house. 1914, tenant family fled after the father fell down the stairs, broken neck. Ruled accident, but the wife swore something pushed him. 1902, a boarder hung himself in the attic. Note said, "He calls me." And Corbett himself died in 1866 under mysterious circumstances. Official cause, heart failure, but the coroner's notes mention unusual pallor and emaciation, as if drained. His church, the Chapel of Contemplation and Church of Our Lord, Granter of Secrets, got shut down in the 1870s for unsavory practices. Rumors of seances, grave robbing, and worse. The will's burial clause was honored. He's interred somewhere in the house itself. No one's dug him up since. As I leave, O'Malley gives a last tidbit. He heard a patrolman swear he saw lights in the windows last week when no one was home. Before heading to the house, I decide to question the kids. The Aunt Maria lives in a cramped tenement on Meridian Street with her husband. When I get there, it's before 9. The lights are on and the kids are up. She unchains the front door reluctantly and lets me in, but keeps the kids out of earshot in the back room. Over weak tea at the kitchen table, Maria spills what she knows, her hands twisting the rosary beads as she does. She says, the children won't talk much about it. Nightmares every night since. The boy, Luca, says he saw a man with red eyes in the basement mirror. The girl, Sophia, drew pictures, scribbles of shadows with teeth. When the scratching started, Victoria thought it was rats. But one evening he came upstairs, white as a sheet, saying the walls were breathing. That's the night. The night he snapped and grabbed the knife. Thank God the neighbors heard the screams. She allows me to talk to the kids, but asks me to be gentle, because they've seen enough devils. I read 'em easy. The boy's putting on a brave front, but he's scared shitless. The girl's withdrawn, but her eyes light up when I ask gentle questions, like I'm the first adult to really listen. Luca mumbles, telling me the house was bad. He says Papa told him not to go in the basement. He heard singing down there like a man, but wrong. And the bed upstairs, it moves like something under it was pushing. Sophia, she whispers, barely audible, that eyes in the window watched him sleep. It wanted Papa to let him in. They both clam up after that. Maria shoos them out and implores me to leave the house alone. She says it's cursed, tells me to burn it. She shows me out and slams the door behind me. The kid's revelations were unsettling, but it doesn't stop me. I hail a cab and head for the house. It's pushing 11 when I arrive at 124 North Main Street. It's a narrow 3-story Victorian, squeezed between sagging tenements. Its paint's peeling like old skin. The windows are dark, staring back like empty eyes. No lights flicker inside, and a faint chill creeps up my spine as I approach. The key's in my hand as I move through the overgrown front yard. Nothing stands out to me as I enter through the front door, sweeping the scene with my flashlight. But I heard a faint creak on my way in. After everything I've heard in this investigation, I decide to head straight for that basement with my .38 drawn. I descend carefully, each step groaning under my weight. At the bottom, my flashlight illuminates a low-ceiling cellar. The stone walls are rough and sweating. An ancient coal furnace is hunkered in the corner, like a squat beast. A workbench is cluttered with rusted tools, and a cracked mirror leans against the far wall. Piles of old crates and junk are scattered around, casting long shadows. The power's out, or the bulb's dead. I hear that scratching. It's faint like nails on wood. It's coming from behind the east wall near the coal furnace. Underneath it, a low murmur, like a voice, muffled, indistinct, rising and falling. It almost sounds like it's chanting in a language I don't know. Then it stops, abruptly, as if whatever's whispering, murmuring, knows that I'm listening. I sweep the flashlight's beam around. I notice something's off. The floorboards near the workbench, they're uneven, like they've been pried up and reset. Dust patterns suggest someone's been down here not too long ago. And that mirror, it's fogged over, but the air's dry. As I look at it, my reflection seems to stare back, but it's distorted. My eyes seem redder. And that's just gotta be the light playing tricks. I investigate the scratching. My .38 drawn. I move closer to the east wall near the furnace. I press my ear against the cold, damp stones. The scratching, it's gone now. But I can feel a faint vibration through the wall, like something shifting just out of sight. So I tap it with my knuckles. The sound echoes. It's hollow in spots, not solid like the rest of the foundation. This wall's false, at least partially. There's space behind it. Running my hands over the stones, I find a hairline seam. It's cleverly mortared to look like it's seamless, though. It outlines a section that's about door-sized. There's no obvious latch, but the mortar's crumbly in places. The air around the seam feels even colder. I strain for the murmur, but it's silent now, dead silent, almost too silent, like the house is holding its breath. The mirror across the room. Reflection still looks off. Eyes glinting unnaturally. It's the flashlight beam. I grab a rusted pry bar from the workbench and grit my teeth as I wedge it into the crumbly seam. The mortar gives way, easier than I expected, with a grinding crack revealing a narrow hidden chamber beyond. It's cramped. The earthen alcove, it's maybe 10 feet square. Foul. It reeks of rot and incense. In the center sits a crude wooden coffin. The lid's nailed shut, but it's warped with age. There's scratches in it and on the wall. Bizarre symbols, swirling glyphs. Ugh, painful to look at. Like there's some forgotten language in the floor. Dried blood? Or just rust? The scratching, it just stops. Completely. But there it is. Something else. A low wet rasp from inside the coffin. Breathing? Something shifting? My mind reels for a second. This ain't rats. It ain't bad wiring. This is wrong. I get nauseous, but I shake it off. Mostly. The mirror behind me fogs up. Completely now. My reflection, it's twisted into something that's inhuman. I unscrew the cap of my flask and take a log-burning swig. The cheap stuff, it hits like fire. It steadies my hands, just enough to push back that nausea. It's like an old friend. It dulls the edges. It reminds me I'm still breathing. I grip the pry bar with both hands and jam it under the coffin's lid. The nails screech as I lever it up. The lid pops free with a splintering crack. It tumbles down onto the dirt floor. A cloud of dust rises. I take a look inside. Oh Christ. It's not a corpse. Not anymore.